I had what I feel I can only describe as a spiritual journey playing Cocoon. Um, Maybe spiritual isn't the right word, I don't know. But there was, in Cocoon, there is this series of puzzles that involves activating um, these different sigils in a certain order, and you use environmental clues in order to figure out what is the order in which you need to activate them. And for every single one of those puzzles in the game, I was able to identify what's the hint in the environment to understand the order, right? Except for one. And it's one in this area that's kind of like almost like marshy, like it's kind of a teal, blue green color. And it's like you're in like shallow water. And when I got to that part of the game, when I got to that part, I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the hint was. Like I was looking all around, walking all around that like fairly closed off area, looking for hints, like trying to figure it out. Because usually there's something that's, it's not like exactly obvious, but once you catch it, like you've caught it and you can know what to do from there. I had no idea what to do. And so I'm playing this, and I'm playing this like in the evening, real time, or either evening or night, not late night. But I'm playing this, and for me, sometimes when I'm playing games, especially if I'm like sitting on like a comfy couch or sofa, I can like doze in and out of consciousness. I can like doze in and out of consciousness. So I was like trying to figure out this puzzle, and I was dozing off a little bit. And this especially happens to me when I'm like stuck in a game. Like when I'm at a point, especially with like puzzle games, when I'm like stuck, I don't know what to do, and I'm really not doing much with my hands. I'm literally just like, I'm really just thinking and trying to figure out what to do. That's when this mainly happens. And this was that exact scenario where I'm trying to figure it out. Not really doing anything in the game except for like maybe moving around a bit. Um, and I just started dozing off, and I was like, when I doze off, I don't fully fall asleep, but I kind of bounce in between like being awake and not awake, like conscious and not conscious. And that's what was happening there. And this can also happen with other things, like if I'm listening to music and I'm enjoying the music, I can also do this where I'm like dozing in and out. But I'm dozing in and out, right? And like in the process of dozing in and out, I feel like I'm also like going between spaces, like I'm going between like this sort of like dream space that's like clouded and kind of like purplish and mysterious, and then real life. So I'm like kind of bouncing in between these two spaces. And then at some point, like, because when I doze off, there comes a point where I'm like, okay, I need to like snap back to being awake. That usually happens after maybe like 20 or 15 or so minutes of dozing and bouncing between consciousness. So at some point that happened where I was like, oh, like let me perk up. I'm awake now, right? I'm not dozing off anymore. And somehow when I came back to consciousness, I like knew the solution to the puzzle. Despite me not figuring out what the hint in the environment was or figuring out what to do, I somehow like knew it. Not necessarily like know it as in if somebody asked me, okay, what's the order, I could tell them, but like it was like in my heart, like in my soul, in my kingdom hearts, in my kingdom hearts, I knew the solution to the puzzle somehow. It was like it was almost it's kind of like instincts, where it's like with instincts you just know, even though you don't have like teaching or something telling you, you just know. It was kind of like that, where it was like somehow the answer to it in that moment became instinctual. And so I pick up the controller and I start moving around. I'm kind of like doing it kind of like slowly, not fast. And I'm going one by one. And you don't know if it's the right answer or not until you finish putting your order in. And at the end it'll tell you. So I'm going through it, right? And I get to the point where I have two remaining. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, Literally like that. Like, and it wasn't even necessarily like, oh man, like, which one is it? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna make a guess. It was just kind of like, almost like I'm looking at like, how do I, how do I feel like I know which one to go to? It wasn't like, oh, let's take a stab at it. It was like, why is it that I feel like I know exactly which one to go to? Like, how do I, how do I know this? Like, what's going on? And so I finally do it. I go to the fourth one, and then I go to the fifth one. I think it's out of five, maybe it's out of six. But I go to the last two. I go to the one and the second to last, and then I go to the last, and boom, the puzzle's solved. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Because like I had no idea how I knew how to do that. I had no idea how I knew the solution whatsoever. I have no idea. To this day, even now, I don't even really know what the hint is. I know that I looked it up afterward because I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe the hint was like there and it was actually pretty obvious, but like I didn't pick up on it, but subconsciously I picked up on it. Like I remember looking it up, and when I looked it up, it was like, yes, the hint is there, but even after looking it up, it wasn't like the hint was obvious. It wasn't like I could clearly see the hint. And it was a sort of hint where it was like, it doesn't feel like bullshit, but like it feels like something that I might have never actually like picked up on in playing the game. So I was just like, what? Because like even now I couldn't tell you how to figure it out. Like I looked it up. I looked up a long play. I looked up the solution, and I think that this was one that a lot of people had some trouble on. Probably like the puzzle that the most people had trouble, that caused the most trouble for people in Cocoon. Um, but yeah, I was just like, I couldn't tell you what the solution is even now. I feel like it has something to do with reflection or something, but I don't even know if that's really true. Um, but yeah, it was just like, and that's what I mean, where it's like kind of like a spiritual journey. I don't know if that's even the right word, but it was just like, it was like suddenly knowledge became instinct, but also in my own like consciousness, I'm like looking at that scenario and I'm like, how is it that I know this? So it's like knowledge became instinct, but also my mind is like, why do I know this? And like it's causing some hesitance, but it's still instinctually known to me. I don't, it was crazy. It was crazy. To this day, I don't think I've ever had any experience like that in a video game at the very least. Maybe in anything. Because it's one thing to just take a guess at something, but when you're going through like 5 or 6 sigils and you have to put them in the correct order, like that's not just a lucky guess, bro. like, and I distinctly was like, it wasn't even like, oh, I know the answer. Do 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 do. It was just pick up the controller and start moving, and just start doing it. And then only when I got to that last part, I was like,